Hello, it's Ryan here from the Deck Podcast Network. If you've enjoyed our show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thanks very much. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the League One Lowdown here on the Deck Network. I'm Callum and as always joined by Sam. Good evening, Sam.
Hello. How are you, Callum?
Not too bad. I had a bit of a dodgy streak with things recently. Just Lincoln not doing too well and work interesting at the moment, finishing an hour early because one of the games got called off due to fog. But no, it's not been too bad. To be fair, how's things in? I don't even want to ask how things are in Leyton Orient land.
They're how can I put this really smugly? They're brilliant, quite frankly. We do have no forwards because they're all injured, but we get to play Manchester City at home.
I think I spent the first, 12, 13 games of this season being very smug about everything. And now it just feels like the tables have completely turned on me.
This is karma.
Yeah, I kind of deserve this. Just a note, as you'll know, we do our predictions game. You'll see those predictions go up. You'll hear them talk. We hear us talk about them through this episode. We will be doing them this week, but due to snow, fog, ice, whatever it was last week, a lot of the games were called off, and there was only one game played, so it just null and voided the whole thing. I still lead by 11 points. So hey, even if Lincoln might have a League Two logo on their sleeve next year, at least I'm still winning the predictions game.
Yeah, I suppose there is positives in that. And you're if no one knows, Callum's daily vlogs on the old TikTok are quite good as well. The old Mars bar made an appearance last night.
Do you know what? Criminally underrated. It's a fun story. And I promise you, we'll talk about football in a minute. I spent 21 years of my life hating on Mars bars because I thought they tasted like Snickers. And I tried one because I got one for Christmas, and I've unlocked a new obsession.
Yeah, I do love a Mars bar.
I love me a Mars bar. So we'll talk about a few topical things that have happened in League One over the last week or so. We'll touch on Wycombe and Huddersfield as well in particular. And I think I kind of want to also touch on just the whole of the top four at the minute because we're kind of seeing blocks in the league develop at the moment. We'll start with Wycombe. It's been quite a big week for them. It's been quite a couple of weeks for them. We've seen how incredibly well they're doing, but you know, as football happens, pigeons and vultures come snapping at your heels, and bit by bit, your squad gets disassembled. And this time it was Matt Bloomfield, the manager's turn to get picked off. Yeah, that sounded horrible. Horrible. You know what I mean? He's gone. He's out of there.
He's gone to the beach and got nipped by some seagulls.
Yeah,
it's a shame he didn't stay to finish the job, so to speak. I can understand the appeal of going to Luton in a way because Premier League money just come down from the Premier League. You got all the money, but Wycombe, as we know, are a very rich club at the moment. So in terms of finance, they're probably about equal, to be honest. They've made, while they have lost Caleb Taylor and Aaron Morley back to their parent clubs, they've made some quite big and statement signings from the Danish league, I believe it is. I mean, the one they got from Mulder last week, he has been playing in the Europa Conference League this year. And they've signed another one today. I think it's from Viborg, a midfielder, which is the Aaron Morley replacement. I still suspect there'll be 2 or 3 more in as well. And it just seems there's that real good factor around Wycombe. Still, while got this negativity of their better players leaving, they've still got Richard Kone, who, in my opinion, Championship clubs should probably be looking at. Yes, they've lost Matt Bloomfield, but there's enough good managers, I think, out there for Wycombe to go and poach, especially free agent ones. The one there's 2 or maybe even 3 that stand out. You've got Stephen Schumacher as one promotion from this league before, playing a different style of football, albeit. Rob Edwards, I don't know if he dropped to League One, but there is a project there at Wycombe. And the other who I would probably go and get is Des Buckingham, recently promoted to Oxford.
Yeah.
a similar style of play in terms of progressing through the thirds, using pace on the wide areas. So if I was Wycombe, I'd probably try and look at Des Buckingham. But if their transfers are anything to go by, we're going to probably have someone from the Danish league come over and take that job up.
Yeah, it's one of them for Huddersfield. For Wycombe. We'll get on to Huddersfield in a moment. Mixing my trail of thought there. It's the first game without Ainsworth or Bloomfield since 2014. I think I saw somewhere that it was 2003. So
2003.
Either way, a long time, and it's just one of them that. But it does suck. But there's not. We always talk about romance in football, but a lot of the time, Luton, like you say, they're a club that have operated at a Premier League level, albeit not hugely successfully. But we have to say that they've got, I don't want to say Premier League standard training facilities, but talks of, I think there's a new stadium being built. I think that next season they're moving into that one or something like that. So
it's talks, yeah.
It's like Luton, it's an exciting club for the future, and it's one of them. You can't really turn down it. I mentioned Huddersfield. We'll talk about Birmingham and Wrexham in a moment, but Huddersfield, if you've ever wanted in my opinion, if you've ever wanted a January transfer window to go out there and say we're a club that want to get promotion this year, Huddersfield have had that. They've had 3 outgoings: Jaheim Headley, Kieran Phillips, Kian Harrett, and Echo Solomon. They've all gone out on loan, a lot of them loan players or fringe players. But in have come Ruben Rookson, Joe Taylor, which hurts my lot, and Dion Charles. I like I said, if there's ever a transfer window to show a statement of intent for promotion, Huddersfield have had it.
I think the only poor thing for Huddersfield is, while they're so happy that they've got these two brilliant, they will complement each other so well, and you've still got Callum Marshall as well, who's had a pretty decent start to the season. It looks like Michael Hellick is going to be leaving. I think he was in a couple of our team of the season so far as well. He looks like he is off to Oxford, as of rumours of 4:00 on the 16th of January, which would be a big loss. So you get all happy that they've got these two players, and the squad on paper could arguably finish probably second behind Birmingham. Now they're going to lose, arguably, in the top 3 centre-backs in the league. They've got to try and replace him, because he is the figurehead of that back 3 that they play. And we know how threatening he is from set pieces from his time at Barnsley, I think it was. So that I still think that, and what you don't want from January, considering Huddersfield only conceded 19 goals, which is the 3rd best defence in the league, is changing your back 5, especially when it's so settled at the moment. Going forward's a different story. Like, they've scored 37 goals, which is the lowest in the top 6, joint with Wrexham. So getting more firepower, yes, is probably a brilliant idea. The thing with Dion Charles is he's been hot and cold for the past 18 months. Joe Taylor hasn't played a lot of football the past 6 months, but we know from his time at Lincoln last year how scintillating, especially in a 2 with a big man up front, how good he can be in League One.
Yeah, we do know that. Yeah, but I have to be fair, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, Joe Taylor, great player, and I'm sure will do incredible things at Huddersfield. But what was it, £3 million? It's ludicrous, isn't it? It does feel a lot like this. The championship model of all or bust has very much come into League One. We hear about it a lot, and you've got I think 4 or 5 teams that are spending all the money in the hopes that they go up, and even the likes of Bolton now. I mean, I know Bolton, they've had their financial issues in the past, but they're talking about having to sell players to compete financially now at this level. It's ridiculous. We'll move on to Birmingham. No players in for them, which feels very un-Birmingham. But Brandon Kelly has gone out on loan, as has Dion Sanderson so far this transfer window. For them, it's one of them. You don't really want much change. You talk about it that they played half the games. They're on 53 points. You'd imagine if they just replicate that, that's 106 points. You don't lose the title on that. Like, you can't see. As much as we talk about Huddersfield, Wrexham, and Wycombe being on a run, you don't lose the league title with 106 points. There might be historical circumstances, but it's Birmingham. You don't want much change, do you?
No, I think Birmingham will only get better as the season goes on. As good as they've been so far, I still don't think they've reached their peak. They signed 18 players in the summer, loads of overhaul, new manager who's still probably learning about himself as well as a first-time job. So I think Birmingham will probably have a very, 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 very good second half of the season. I'm pretty sure they've kept 6 clean sheets in their last 7 as well. So defensively and out of possession, they're brilliant. And like you say, 53 points from half the season, 2 games in hand over Wycombe and Wrexham, and already 2 points clear. So realistically, they're going to be what? They'll probably win both their games in hand as well. So they'll be 8 points clear.
Yeah. Just to touch on the other one of the top 4, Wrexham, nothing really talking in their transfer business so far. Billy Waters, or Watters, or Billy Waters, he's out. He's gone on a free to Oldham. For them, I don't want to say more of the same. I'm sure there's areas they can improve, but I think Wrexham fans knew the step from League 2 to League 1 was a bigger one than the National League to League 2. So I think they'd have taken 3rd or 4th this season, a playoff spot. Whether they're successful in the playoffs, I don't think that defines whether they've had a good or bad season, because I don't think many Wrexham fans would have expected to be in the Championship next year.
No, I agree with that. I think Wrexham are probably aiming for a top 10 finish, challenge for playoffs maybe, especially when you get back-to-back promotions. I still think they lack. I still don't think Paul Mullins has of the level of League 1. They probably do need another striker. I think defensively, 18 goals conceded, you can't argue with how good they are defensively. And they've had a lot of injuries, obviously, in the goalkeeping department, and still conceding very few goals. I still think they need a forward player, Wrexham. The departure of Billy Waters probably helps in a way, because they've got Paul Mullin, Ollie Palmer, Jack Marriott, Sam Dalby's out on loan. Bickerstaff's gone. There's probably one other I've forgotten. There was an injury to Elliot Lee. I'm not sure if he's back yet either. So probably a bit more firepower, I think, for Wrexham, and they'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the season, which I think near enough all their fans will be happy. And also, if you're interested in all the transfers across League 1, the review host Jamie will be doing a special video tomorrow, which should go out tomorrow. We're covering every single team, 1 to 24, of every transfer in and out of every League 1 club so far.
Frustratingly little action happening at Lincoln City at the moment.
Other than outs, yeah.
We'll get onto that soon. I just wanted to touch on the table itself. We were always talking about how tight it is. It feels like there's that top 4 that have broke away, and then Barnsley to Bolton is perhaps, you're looking at those 5 to perhaps be the remaining playoff gap, which you're involved in that, so I'll let you have that. Then Charlton down to, I want to say Charlton down to Bristol Rovers. There's only 9 points between them, but that it feels like the bottom 4 have all kind of been cut away.
Yeah.
As much as we talk about Shrewsbury and they are on the upward curve, but for as much as we talk about Crawley as well, showing positive signs, there's a 5-point gap, and that is not insurmountable.
No,
but it's a bit of a gap.
Yeah, especially when you've got no confidence. I think the win last time out for Bristol Rovers at home, I think it was away, massively helped just to stop their rut. Crawley at home are a pretty decent side, 2 wins in their last 5 at home. The playoffs, I agree. I think it's 5th down to Charlton, because I think they'll have quite a strong second half to the season. They've only lost 1 in their last 10. They've not lost in their last 5. Lost 1 in their last 5 at home, 2 in their last 5 away. So I'd probably just about include Charlton in there, unless they do what they did last year and become absolutely garbage in the second half of the season. Reading, who knows what's going to happen with Reading in the second half of the season.
It feels like we keep predicting that to fall. Keep predicting them to fall off, but they never do. So
Mansfield, I really like the signing of Matty Craig in midfield. Bolton, who knows? Who knows what's happening with Bolton? Ian Evatt probably didn't help himself last week, coming out and going, changing me won't do anything. It's the players. It's like, come on, Ian. Your players are pretty decent for this level. They've shown that over the last 2 years. You were out-tacticked in the playoff final last year by Des Buckingham. And you've been worked out this year, quite frankly. But you're still only 4 points off the playoffs because of the quality of your team. Losing Dion Charles to I'm going to use it in inverted commas, promotion rival probably doesn't help. but they got it's rumoured fee of £750,000. I'm not sure if it's on Orient yet. I'm still not sure. We don't concede any, but I'm just concerned with the injuries to Dan Ajay, Ollie O'Neill, because it does mean we have Dylan Jayasimi and Sonny Perkins as the wingers, and then we've signed one on loan today who was exceptional start to the season in League Two but he's a parent club, he's Blackburn, so he's coming on loan. So that will be interesting. The next, I think we've got 4 league games before we play Manchester City. We know that the players will have eyes on that. They're not going to want to get injured before they play the Premier League champions. They're not going to want that. So I know Wellens probably won't. Wellens won't change. Players, you've obviously got that in the back of your head. You've got Man City coming up. Oh, I don't want to tweak a muscle because I'll miss the game. So obviously we've got Posh, which we'll get onto later. Stockport, they're just really inconsistent, aren't they? Weirdly, they let Sam Hughes go out on loan today. I know he's not played a lot, but he's gone to Peterborough. And we'll talk about Posh later on, but it doesn't really make sense, that sort of signing for Posh. But yeah, other than that, I think the only club that I can see not in the top 11 breaking into the playoffs is Rotherham.
Do you think?
As bad as I think Rotherham have been,
they are 11. They're 10 points off. Yeah,
there's just something about Steve Evans and Rotherham that I could see them getting top 6, which I don't want that to happen. But there's just something there that's in the back of your mind. It's like Steve Evans always seems to do well when things aren't going, everything's going against him. So they'll get a dodgy decision. He'll praise a referee, and then, we'll see.
Right. Before we go on to the worst transfers of the season, we'll just both name our worst transfers, justify it, and then we'll go on to our predictions. Just a reminder, we've seen a lot of you have done this recently, but please feel free to head down and hit subscribe, turn those notifications on. Don't miss an episode. It's been incredible. I've lost track of how many subscribers we've lost this year alone already. It's been incredible. But yeah, make sure you go down and hit subscribe. It would be a great help and allow us to bring you more League One content. Sam, go on then. Your worst transfer of the season. I can think of a few that are very close to my home that could make this list.
Well, I've got one from your team, which is Rob Street. You spent money on him, and I can't believe you did. I've got one from my team, Zach Hemming. While he improved towards the end of his time with us, he cost us 5 points at the start of the season.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
We'd be in the playoffs for those 5 points.
And we'd be in the playoffs with that. So that one. And there was one other, I think it was Charles Sago Jr. at Shrewsbury, on loan from Arsenal. Mm-hmm. You think an Arsenal youngster with pace would make an impact. He made 0 impact. They're the 3 that spring to Sam Hughes, you could say another one at Stockport, failed to make an impact in their back line coming up from League 2, experienced League 1 defender. He's gone on loan to Peterborough, so he's gone out the club on loan. So they're probably the 4 that spring to mind. There's probably a few others we've probably missed, which people can let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I think for me, having I don't want to say seen him up close, but seen him what I've done through work, Rob Street. And I don't think it's entirely his own fault. He didn't settle straight into the club, like through his performances. It might just be the way both he and the team play different styles of play and whatnot. But he didn't settle in. He's gone on loan to Doncaster, and already they seem to be a lot happier about him. Even though Jamie's not fully convinced, who is a Doncaster Rovers fan on the review pod, a lot of Doncaster Rovers fans seem to like him. So I don't know. I hope for Rob Street's sake it works, because I'll put it this way: he's cost Lincoln, comparatively to what they normally pay for people, a lot of money. So I would like to see him work.
The only other bad signings I can think of is probably the entire of Burton Albion summer, other than Danilo Orsi.
Yes. Yeah,
all
of Burton. Dear me, they've had a football manager transfer window.
Yeah,
and none of the players they've signed have been good at all. Right, let's move on to some predictions. We'll make some of these quite short and sweet, because some of them don't have a lot to play for. Other games are quite important. But we'll start with Shrewsbury against Wrexham. To me, why this game is being held on a Thursday night. I think you mentioned before we started recording something to do with a derby, but
apparently it's
is
labelled
why a Thursday?
Apparently, it's labelled as a derby because they're within 30 miles of each other. In which case, you could class Wrexham and Crewe as a derby because they're 25 miles apart.
So then why that means it has to be on a Thursday? I'm still.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, that's probably some reason, but I'm not entirely
Sky,
clued up
that'd
on
be why.
Maybe. I've gone with 3-1 Wrexham win on this one. Shrewsbury, just not. Don't go wrong. Would look again. It's one of them. They seem like a likable club. You know, they're not offensive to me at all, but I just can't see them getting out of this the relegation scrap. I again could be proved wrong, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, I think they've got the perfect manager to get them out this scrap and get them battling. This game, I don't think will define if they stay up or not. These are brownie points, I call them, if they manage to get any points. So I've gone for a 2-0 Wrexham away win.
It's not the type of game they need to be winning. It's what we always say. It's bonus points, isn't it? So, moving on to Blackpool against Huddersfield, a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. For me, this is the type of game that defines Huddersfield's season. They need to be beating these sorts of teams that you could easily trip up against, the likes of your Blackpool. Blackpool not on a great run, but again, it's these types of teams that you could easily find yourself dropping points to, whether that's just 2 points in a draw. You know, if Huddersfield drop points here, you know, then that gap to Birmingham, Wycombe and Wrexham could grow. It's already 4 points. If they drop 2 points here, could easily be, 6 or 7 or whatever. So I don't think they will, though. All being said, I think they'll get through this 2-0.
Yeah, so for reference, Huddersfield's away form, they've won 4 of their last 5 away, and they scored 1.73 on average, and they've conceded 0.73 on average. And then you've got Blackpool, who actually are 16th now. I didn't actually realise they were that low. They've not won in their last 5 at home. They've drawn 4 in a row at home now. Which I think is a Steve Bruce type team, if that makes sense. Very hard to beat. But I have got Huddersfield's quality to shine through and win 2-1.
Fair enough. The other, I'm going to say the other early kickoff. We'll get on to another one of them in a minute and explain why. But Peterborough against Leyton Orient. Now, I'm going off predominantly what you've said, Sam, when I'm making this prediction, because you seem to talk down Leyton Orient's chances a lot. Peterborough, I don't know if a point to prove is the right thing to say, but after last week against Everton and calls for Darren Ferguson to be sacked because he didn't bring on a player.
That was ridiculous.
I mean, it's funny, and I completely agree he should be sacked, but that was mainly because of how bad they've been in the league this season, not necessarily... not necessarily because he didn't bring on a young.
No, he's not a charity.
No, at all. If I think I agree with him. If it was 2-0 or 3-0, then
100%.
Bring him on.
Yeah.
But it was 1-0. I mean, they didn't have a chance because they weren't great at all in that game, but they did still have a chance. And at that point, you bring him 100%. On. But anyway, purely based off what you said, I'm going with 1-1 here. I think your lack of strikers might come into influence, and Peterborough, I think they'll have a bit more grit about them, maybe.
So I've gone for 2-1 to Orient. Peterborough's last 5 home games, they've lost 4 and won 1. They've still not. They're the only team in League One not to keep a clean sheet this season. They've got the worst defence in the league in terms of goals conceded, but they've still got the 3rd best attack, and we know Peterborough can score goals. So I have got them to score 1. I've got us to score 2 because of the form we're on. I'm going to back us to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1-1. But I'm just being a bit more positive around us at the moment.
Talking about positivity, Lincoln City. They're against Northampton Town. This game, I never wanted to say this about a Lincoln City game. This game's got mid-table written all over it. It's at 2:00, which is off skewed because I think the rugby.
It must be the rugby, yeah.
The rugby's on at a different stadium, I think, but because of timings and policing research, Northampton asked for it to be moved. Weirdly, though, our club came out and said that begrudgingly it's an hour's difference. It doesn't make a huge...
No. It's not exactly far, is it? Northampton to Lincoln, I don't think.
No, I think it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it's not exactly trekking the length of the country. This game has goalless written all over it, though. Lincoln, when they kick off early, are just terrible most of the time. Really boring. Yeah, they are terrible at the minute. Lincoln can't score. I mean, it's over 9 hours now without a goal from open play. It's 1 goal in those 9 hours, and that was a penalty.
Oh, it's going well. You can see where your problems lie.
I think was it in the FL Trophy midweek. It was 17 shots for Lincoln, 1 on target, or I think it was 1 or 2 on target, and you're just like, a shocking behaviour. So yeah, I've gone goalless, 0-0.
Yeah, I've gone for 1-1. You've not won in your last 5 away. You've only got a win percentage away of 23%. 4 losses and a draw in your last 5 away. You average less than a goal a game away. So I've gone for 1-1 because Northampton did win last time out. So they've won 2 of their last 5 at home. They're not a bad team at home. And if they are to stay up, their home form is going to be crucial. So.
Who do you think scores?
Powdy O'Connor probably from a corner.
Interesting. I can't see it. But anyway, we can live and dream. On to the 3 o'clock kickoffs then. Birmingham against Exeter. I think this one, they'll just be. Professional is probably the word about it. I in my head I've got 3-0.
Yeah.
Which probably may be a bit generous to Birmingham, but I can just see Birmingham walking it.
Yeah, I've got 2-0. Birmingham wins 70% of their home game, 73% of their home game. Beg your pardon. They keep a clean sheet in 55% of them. They average 1.7 at home. So I've gone for 2-0. I just think with the departure of Tristan Kramer as well, or Kramer from Exeter today back to his parent club Brentford, I think that is a big loss to the Exeter back 5 as they play. So Birmingham should have too much quality for Exeter, especially at home.
Yeah, we should mention to some of the League One sides. So it's reminding me some of the League One sides. I'm sure you'll know them all off the top of your head, Sam. But those who got through in the FA Cup, nice to see at least some of them doing all right. Yeah. Begrudgingly, obviously Birmingham getting through as well as some of the others.
Yeah, so prime Barclays tie Birmingham got, I called it, against Newcastle.
And then obviously, were Exeter one of the ones that got through as well off the top of my head?
Exeter got Nottingham Forest at home. Birmingham got Newcastle at home. Orient got City at home. Somebody has, I think it's Wigan, have Fulham. And then there's one other. Is it Wycombe?
Wycombe also got through, I believe, yeah.
I think it's Wycombe. They've got Preston, I think it is.
Be good to see at least some success from League One. It feels like it's been a while since a League One side did a decent run in the cup. Always feels like League One sides just kind of neglects the FA Cup. But
yeah, if they get out the first round and the second round, then they take it a bit more seriously, don't they? But they've got to get.
But then at that point, then the quality shows, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So then they just get knocked out anyway. So I feel like League One in a bit of a sandwich. But no, nice to see some League One sides doing well in the cup, even if it's not Lincoln. Anyway, moving on to next game, which is Rotherham against Charlton. I believe. Sam, this game doesn't exactly strike me as pretty.
No. I thought you were going to do Bristol Rovers next, but that's okay. Moving on.
I think it's because I've written my prediction down for it. So in my head, I thought I'd gone through it. We'll do Rotherham versus Charlton. We'll come back to Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, it's probably not the best of games in terms of watching, is it? Long ball, absolutely everywhere. Plays off second balls, both teams. So it's going to be a battle of who doesn't want the football, because both teams are quite decent out of possession, but in possession, they're pretty samey, I call it. It's a big game for both teams in terms of their ambitions for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. We're now over halfway through, so teams, we kind of know where everyone's at. There's always one team, I think it'll be Rotherham, that go up the league. Rotherham, especially, I can't remember who they played. Was it Lincoln last week? They played.
I can't remember. I don't think so.
Rotherham played somebody last week and were excellent. Like, they were really good. It might have been Huddersfield. They played somebody and they won and they were excellent. Having said that, Charlton are incredibly difficult to beat. So I've gone for 1-1, but don't be surprised if Rotherham actually win that game.
Yeah, it was a 3-1 win against Bolton. Wilkes, James and Nombe scoring. So yeah, that's not too shabby at all, is it, for them?
No.
And Bolton winning 3-1 against them, more of those types of performances, and you will find yourselves going up into the league. In this game, I'll go with a 1-0 Rotherham, I think.
Okay.
I think, it's one of them. Rotherham, not the prettiest sides, but I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'd take a point at this point. I'd like anything to get 3 points. So I can kind of see where they're coming from.
Yeah,
it's horrible. We'll move up to Bristol Rovers against Barnsley then. I don't know if this is it a banana skin potentially for Barnsley. Perhaps it's not going to be a nice game. A lot of the games in League One aren't very pretty, are they?
no. I think the thing for Barnsley is they pick up over 2 points per game away from home compared to their 1.3 at home. 67% of Barnsley's wins have been away from home. They keep only. To be fair, they only keep clean sheets in 17% of their away games. So there's probably going to be goals for both teams. Bristol Rovers obviously got their first win under their new manager last time out, but I can see what he's trying to do at Bristol Rovers. But Barnsley, I think, are just on a roll. They've won 4 in a row in all competitions, I think, in the league as well. There's just something about Barnsley that's clicked now. Since they lost to us, Darryl Clark, I remember listening to Darryl Clark's press conference, and he was fuming. I know they didn't have Keelan Dunn, Adam Phillips, Luke O'Connell. It kind of coincides with your 3 best players coming back in the team. They are the key clogs for Barnsley. The key one is keeping hold of Adam Phillips this January because he's got 18 months left on his contract. And championship clubs, if I was them, I'd probably be sniffing after a goal-scoring midfielder. So that's the big thing for Barnsley is keeping hold of their 3 best players until at least the end of the season. Their away form's impeccable, so I've got them actually to win 3-0.
Yeah, it's that defeat to you. They've beat Bolton 2-1 away, Peterborough 3-1 away, Wrexham 2-1 at home, and then Crawley 3-0 at home. So they're on good form. But like you say, not too great at keeping clean sheets away. So I've gone with a 2-1 to Barnsley. I back them to get the 3 points, but I don't think that net will be clean by the end of it. Reading against Stockport. This game, 6th versus 7th, huge, really, implications at the top of the table. It could really widen the gap between 6th and 7th, or it could close it right back up.
So Reading have 2.45 points per game at home, which is absolutely ridiculous at this point. Like 24 games, averagely 12 at home, 2.45 average points at home. Only 1.08 away, bearing in mind. But that's obviously why they're 6-6. So I'll back Reading to win this. Stockport's away form. They've not won in their last 4 away with 3 defeats, only averaging 1.17 points per game away, with only 25% of their wins coming away from home. But it is a big game for Stockport just to kind of put themselves back in the mix. They've been really inconsistent with injuries, and losing arguably the best player in the league in Louis Barry isn't going to help them. So I think Reading will win 2-1.
That stats kind of changed, actually. I was just looking at the league position. I think I'd gone with 2-2, but yeah, you mentioned losing Louis Barry and Reading's incredible home form. I've gone also 2-1. Again, another tie that screams mid-table more than all the others. So probably not one we're going to spend a huge amount of time on. Stevenage against Wigan. Stevenage 14th, 23 played, 31 points. Wigan 23 played. They're in 17th place on 27 points. Just 4 points separating the sides. How do you see this one going? Bear in mind, neither side likes goals of any kind, whether that's scoring or conceding them.
No, Stevenage's home form is actually impeccable. It's 1.7 points per game, considering where they are in the table. Wigan are better away than they are at home. They've won 3 of their last 5 and have been very busy, shall we say, in the transfer market so far. I quite like the way Wigan play football. They've just missed that number 9 so far this season, I think, to finish off the chances. So I've got Wigan to win, but 1-0, which probably doesn't surprise many people, considering Wigan are the 3rd lowest scorers in the league, only worsened by Burton, and Stevenage are the lowest scorers in the league with 18.
Yeah, it's one of them. I think it could go either way. Like it could go either way. I think it's a 1-0 game. I think one of the sides gets a goal. I think I've gone with Stevenage. I just like that. I mean, home advantage. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But I can just see it, going that way for them. I just say the past 2 games have both been 0-0. Stevenage has, so it doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a goal. But anyway, moving on to Mansfield against Wycombe. Mansfield had that incredible start to the season, kind of back into form now, back up into 9th, 37 points, one of 3 teams on 37 points, along with Leyton Orient and Bolton Wanderers. Wycombe, we wax lyrical about them, up in 2nd, 25 games played, 51 points. It's all about how the loss of Matt Bloomfield affects them, isn't it? And it's one of them we probably won't really know until about the 5th, 10th minute of the game.
Yeah, 100%. I think it helps Mansfield a little bit. They've won won their last 2 at home. Like you're saying, much better form than they were. Difficult place to go is, I think it's Field Mill, their ground's called now. It's probably got a sponsor, as most grounds do. 64%, both teams to score at home, which is one of the highest in the league. So for that reason, I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
I've gone 3-1 Wycombe. I just think I think it's just resilience. I think, even though you lose the manager, that mental toughness in the squad, I don't think it leaves you. So I just back Wycombe. I think they'll tail off now they've lost Matt Bloomfield, but I think a lot of it will stay for now, and then they'll slowly lose it throughout the rest of the season. I think that's just me. 2 games left then. There is another full match week midweek, I think, or at least it's some of the games that need catching up on. There's 3 on Tuesday and 1 on Thursday, so we'll post our predictions for them on social media. But 2 games left this weekend. Bolton against Cambridge. I think we both know where this is going. Cambridge, terrible form. They've got the worst goal difference in the league. Only just, but the worst goal difference in the league. They're past 5 games, 1-0 defeat to Bristol Rovers, 3-1 defeat to Reading, 2-0 defeat to Orient, 2-1 defeat to Charlton, 4-0 defeat to Huddersfield. I think it's about time they lost another game 4-0. So I'll go 4-0 to Bolton on this one.
Yeah, so Cambridge averaged 2 goals conceded per away game. They've won 8% of their away matches.
That's got to be like 1 game, isn't it? Surely. Yeah. That's like they've won 1 away game at this point.
Bolton have won 50% of their home games, and there's averagely 3 goals in their home games. So I've gone 3-0 Bolton.
I mean, that makes sense. 2.5 would make more sense, I suppose, but you can't really concede half a goal. So, yeah, I think Bolton, they're one of those, they're so patchy. I mean, look at their last 5 games. Loss, win, loss, win, loss.
Yeah,
you cannot get any more inconsistent than that.
The problem is Ian Ever owns part of that football club. He's part of the ownership, which is a massive problem for the owner, because how'd you sack him?
You need a summer, don't you, to go through all of the paperwork and stuff.
Yeah. So I personally think he should be sacked, and then they go get Stephen Schumacher or Ryan Lowe. That's what I would do. I think with the squad on paper, that squad should be nowhere near where they are on the table. It's got a bit stale. It's what his comments last week were very much of a man who's now feeling the pressure. The performance midweek wouldn't probably have helped that much. They scraped through. I think it was in that Virtue Motors, whatever trophy it's called nowadays. So the fans are pretty angry that Dion Charles is leaving. From what I saw, I could be wrong. If you're a Bolton fan, let us know down in the comments. If they lose this weekend, then
I was listening to his post-match from midweek, and I know it's only the EFL trophy, and I know the signing would have been a done deal, but it was just how openly he came on about the fact that they were selling one of the best players for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we've like all the reporters said, it wasn't like it was particularly intrusive question. The reporter just said, no Dion Charles in the squad, can you tell us anything? He just comes out and just said, yeah, we've accepted a bid. And then the bloke just said, who was that? Was it from Huddersfield? And Everett just goes, yeah, it was. Oh, cool.
At least he was honest, I suppose.
Yeah, I was like, great.
Yeah.
Would you, if just in the aftermath of a pretty, I don't want to say a nothing game, because they're only a couple of wins away from Wembley, but in the aftermath of after post-match interview of a pretty meh game where you only got a couple hundred supporters there, and your manager just goes, "Oh yeah, we're selling him. We're selling Dion Charles." To me, it just struck me as really, really weird. But I suppose when you're under pressure, you do weird things. So, the final game, I don't want to say the biggest game of the year of the league, but if Burton win, if Burton win, it gives them a sniff of hope. If Crawley win, it gives them a even bigger sniff of hope. How do you see this one going? We've both, looking at both our score predictions, we've both gone goals. I don't think that's necessarily because either side can score goals. I think it's because neither side can keep them out.
Yeah, 100%. It's probably a bigger game. I can't really think who's a big game for. Burton have to win. Let's put it that way. If they don't win, they're 11 points from safety with 19 games to go, something like that. I think maths.
Yeah.
21 games to go. So there'll be 21, 42, 60 odd points available. They've won 2 of the first half of the season. There's no way that they're going to go and win 6 or 7 in a row.
No.
For Crawley, if they win, like we think Bristol Rovers will lose this weekend, it would be 2 points for Crawley. And Crawley, I think, have impressed under Rob Elliott in parts. Defensively, they are very vulnerable, as we know. Burton do have a very good defensive manager in Gary Bowyer, but what I can't see is Burton being able to see out a football match, which is the problem. So I have gone for 3-2 to Crawley in this one.
I mean, you look at Burton's last couple of games, 1-1 to Huddersfield Town is an incredible result. Incredible point. Dare I say 2-2 to Peterborough United?
Good point.
We know they were, I think they were 2-0 up in that game. But again, 2-2 against Peterborough United is a good point. It's just that 1-0 loss to Northampton Town. That's the kicker for me. Yeah. Only 2-0 to Birmingham City. That is an impressive result. They're a championship side, Birmingham City. But then it's losing 2-1 at home to Exeter. That's the kicker. For Crawley, though, they got hammered by Barnsley 3-0. Then was that incredible 4-4 with Exeter. Losing 3-0 to Orient. Only 1-0 to Birmingham. And then that 4-3 game. With Crawley, there's going to be goals.
Yeah.
With Burton, you have still got that kind of predictability. For me, we've both gone the same scoreline. I've just reversed it. Something about me thinks Burton will get something from this game, and I'm probably biased. I've gone on a journey with my support for Burton. I didn't like them, and now I think I just feel a bit sorry for them. But I just think they'll get something from this.
Okay.
So
no problems with that.
I've gone 3-2. You've gone 3-2, but the other way around to Crawley. And that will wrap up the predictions episode, the preview show here on the League One Lowdown. Remember, as always, go and hit that subscribe button, like the video as well. Let us know your thoughts on the games, and even drop your predictions down below. We'll do our best to reply to all your comments, whether that's on YouTube, on Spotify, however you're listening to it, even on X, whatever. Just let us know your thoughts. But for this week, that is me and Sam done. We will see you very shortly.